Hello, I'm back. Cheryl, talking about autism. And today, this episode, I want to talk a little bit about stimming because parents, especially that are new to this, they'll hear about stimming and you'll hear some people say that in order for the child to be able to have appropriate behavior in the classroom or wherever they're going to be, that we should try and teach them different mechanisms for coping other than stimming. Stimming is things like when they look at their hands and they'll flap their hands, or my son liked to go up and he'd scratch the wall. It's progressed to all different kinds of things. Also vocal tics or vocal, well, I call it vocal stemming because to me I notice he does it when he's a little bit anxious, and he'll repeat things over and over again that he knows, he knows the answer to. um, if he's nervous when he meets somebody or when he's in a large group setting, he wants everybody to greet him with a certain song. So it's like a nursery rhyme, and he'll want everyone to clap, da 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 da, and sing the words with him. That's his greeting, and it's his way of trying to say socially, "Are you okay with me? Do I know you?" Now that's not necessarily stimming, but there are all these kinds of ways that he tries to relate to people and his environment, and all types of ways that he tries to calm himself when he's anxious. And the hand flapping, yes, like I said, he scratches on the walls, he creates patterns. Like whenever he goes to a room, he has to go to the room the same route. He'll every time he goes to the bathroom, as soon as he's finished, he goes to his bed and he sits on his bed for a minute, clasps his hands in his lap, looks at the floor, and then he jumps up and he walks through another hallway. He has to run his finger along the bottom of the painting, and then he comes around, and then he backs up and he taps a place on the wall. It's like all these repeated little rituals that he goes through. And like I said, they're always changing, or he'll add one or just suddenly stop doing another. Um, he likes to spin things. He he's very he's very aware of sounds, so you'll see him kind of look off in the distance sometimes, and it's because he's trying to concentrate on what he's hearing on a certain sound. So all these little strange quirks add up to him trying to understand his environment and take it all in. So for parents, I just want to say, it's their way of coping. Don't necessarily worry about some of it unless it's destructive, or unless it's disruptive. If you're in church, for say, or you're in a social setting where he's going to disturb people, you can avoid those settings. But also, I've found that bribery sometimes works. Um, ask them to keep their inside voice. Get them to learn what inside voice means. So there's a number of things. It's the same things you would do with your typical toddler, but you have to be a little more patient and understand why they're doing it. In our kids' case, it's because of the anxiety that they're experiencing. Any change. Also notice that their stemming or their little strange noises or whatever will increase whenever something's different. So even if you go the same way every day to the grocery store, let's say, but let's say this time you decide to go to a different store, or you're going to a different way because you've got to stop at the post office. You might find them doing that because they notice outside. They notice the landmarks. They're going to notice if you're going in the right direction. So if you say you're going to the store, but you go a different way, in their mind, wait a minute, I thought we were going to the store. And so meltdowns will happen sometimes because of those simple things. So knowing that ahead of time, we let Jason know ahead of time, okay, we're not stopping at the gas station this time. We're going straight to wherever it is. We're not stopping for a Coke. We're not going to stop and eat lunch. We're going to the store, but we're going to a different store. We we tell him ahead of time. Now, when he was younger, it was hard for him to understand that. So we would just try to calm him and just remind him, yes, we're going to such and such. Yes, we're going to go do this. We just have to do this first. So we'd repeat that. So he'd get used to it. I don't know. I don't know if any of this helps, but it's just, I think it's a lot easier if you kind of have some clue of why they're doing the things they're doing, so that when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's because they're nervous, or that's because they're confused, or whatever. And they're going to act out just like any of us would. So keep that in mind, and just try, and even if they're not communicating verbally with you, they will understand a lot of what you say, and your child will eventually get used to the fact when you tell them, okay, no gas station today, but we will get a treat later, or we can't have gum today, mommy has no gum. I mean, the simplest things. Sometimes they don't understand why. Okay, why? Just produce it, like you're magically supposed to make it happen. If the TV's not working, or if a battery dies, all those little things you have to tell them, or to prevent, meltdowns. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not, but just as I said before in another episode, just remember that these things, they don't last forever. Eventually, your child will learn more about what you're trying to tell them. They may not be able to verbally communicate with you, but they do understand a lot about what's going on. So keep that in mind, and just try and anticipate anything that your child, that might be bothering your child, and remember that change can cause them to stem more, cause meltdowns, and so just be sure to inform them of any change that's going to happen. If you have to move, if they are going to go to a different school, all of these things are pretty traumatic for them. So you start early and break them in, and help them understand that there's going to be some changes. Okay, but he'll be all right. It will. It really will. Things get better. They get easier as they get older. Um, I say that, but I know that there are those out there who still have difficulties with some aggressive children, or children that you just can't handle anymore. That happens. But for the most part, I think it's just a matter of getting to know your child and their individual ways of trying to communicate with you, and learning how to keep them calm. So stemming is allowed in our house, and that's just the way it is. All right, so thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in down below. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if you feel like I'm giving information that's confusing or not accurate, let me know that too, because maybe I need to find out more about what other parents go through, and I'm making assumptions. So I'm here to help, not to feel like I have all the answers, or make it seem like I do. I'm just here to help because I've been doing this for 26 years. So yeah, and it'll probably most likely be our life for the rest of our life. So there's a lot of things that I can tell you that we've dealt with. So that's that. And have a wonderful day. If you are held up at home like we are, find things to bring you joy, no matter what it is. And we will all get through this. All right. Thanks. See you next time.